Welcome to Alumni Voices, where we explore the inspiring journeys of our accomplished alumni. Join us as we sit down with graduates from various academic programs as they share their invaluable experiences during their studies and illuminate how the skills they honed have propelled them in their post-graduation professional endeavors. Tune in to be inspired by these remarkable alumni and discover how education can be a powerful catalyst for a fulfilling and impactful professional life. This is Alumni Voices, where past meets present to illuminate the way forward. Welcome again to our Alumni Voices podcast series. My name is Laman Tasch. I'm Associate Dean of Social Sciences here in Global Campus at SNHU, and today our guest is Cota. I hope I pronounce your name correctly, who is one of our alumni and who is here to share with us her journey at SNHU and her post-graduation journey and how her experience at SNHU connects with her professional life. Welcome and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. My SNH journey was so wonderful that I am very happy to share whatever I can offer that would aid in any other SNHU student in my same situation. I think it was a valuable and worthwhile experience. I'm happy to have gone through the journey, and I wish every other student much luck, much success. And I know if they're at SNHU, they will be highly successful.
Thank you so much. And also today with us is Brooke Brigham from the Career Services. Welcome, Brooke.
Thank you, Laman. Dana, it's great to meet you. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am so excited to hear all about your experience, and I hope that our learners listening can tap into some of these amazing pieces of advice that Dana will share today. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to the conversation. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So let's start with the first question. When you look back at your studies at SNHU, what during your studies, and you can think holistically, what was the most helpful in your today's professional life? Which experiences, which interactions, or maybe which topics, what in general was the most helpful when you look back?
Well, being that I came to SNHU a little later in life, I wasn't the typical straight out of high school person because I had already been to a university before, and I'd been in the workforce for a good 30 years before going to SNHU. So I had experience under my belt with how to study, how to sort of prioritize my time. But of course, it's different when you go back to a university and you're holding down a full-time job and you have all of these other things that are pulling on your time. By then, I was teaching Sunday school. I was involved in all of these other ministries at my church that were really demanding. I was a treasurer in one ministry. I was conducting a choir. My husband and I own a business, so I literally had so many things that were pulling me in all of these directions. And I kept thinking, how will I find the time to get a degree? But it's something I really, really wanted. And just the journey to even get to SNHU was like a job, because I had to find a college that I could attend on my schedule that was reasonably priced, that was highly accredited, that would not have me out of the house all night or all weekend at a campus, that was well thought of in the business community, because what good is it to get a degree that no one will value when I'm done? And I started talking to other people who had degrees that they got online, and I did a lot of research and I found SNHU. But then when I started going, I realized that one of the things that I loved about it was that I could go to any of my professors if I ever had a question about anything, and they literally made me feel like I was their only student. And that meant the world to me because I felt like I had a built-in support network. My guidance counselor, my academic advisor, and my professors made me feel as though I had a team in my corner the whole way. And then I knew I could do this. I can get this done. I originally had been facing an uphill battle at home because my husband at the onset really was not for this. I think he initially was thinking, oh, she's not going to be around to cook. Oh, she's not going to be around to travel with me, which was not the case. I actually did my homework from all over the globe because we still traveled. But once he saw the first A roll in and then the second A roll in and then the third A roll in, he thought, okay, she can handle this. So when I didn't have the support network I needed at home, I was getting so much support from the university that it compensated for what I was lacking initially at home, which eventually he got on board and he got to be my biggest cheerleader. But I got so much support from the school that I knew I could pull that off. And that meant the absolute world to me.
And I feeling genuinely cared and supported is something that helped you to be successful. And
yes,
from any like staff, faculty, from any different.
I wasn't just a name on a roster paying some tuition. It was people who when they said, call me on the weekend if you're not getting something, I had phone numbers programmed into my cell phone. And I honestly felt like they meant it. I unfortunately lost my father very suddenly when I was only a short ways into my time there. And I called my counselor first. And I said, I need to take just a few days off because I lost my father and and I was the only one in California. I live in California and my siblings at the time weren't here. I said, I need to take care of this. And, I need to arrange the burial and I've got a lot to do. And I'm the only one local who can do this. And she said, get off the phone. Go take care of yourself and your family. Don't worry about any of this. She said, I will contact your instructors. Don't worry about anything. And the next thing I know, a box showed up to my house from SNHU. And it had a mouse pad and a mug and a notepad and just had little things in it where it said, we were thinking of you and just wanted to brighten your day. And they had collected just little things from SNHU. I actually got teary-eyed because I thought, that is so thoughtful. And then I was online a few days later working, and my instructor phoned me and said, why are you turning in homework? This is the time you need to be focused on your mental health and dealing with your family and just taking time for yourself. You are a straight A student. Your A is solid. This is the time for you. I don't want to see any work being done right now. And I just thought, that is incredible. They're working as a team to ensure that I prioritize me over schoolwork. And they pretty much banned me from doing schoolwork until they thought I had sufficient time to deal with the tragedy of losing my father and tending to the burial and having my family fly in from all over to take care of it. And I thought, that is so caring. And it proved what I had been telling people when I said, they're not just my teachers and my counselors, they're people who really, really care. And I thought, that is unbeatable. And then I started just telling everyone I know, if you want to get a degree, you should go to SNHU. They really do care. It's not just about taking your tuition money and cranking grades in and out and getting you out of the university. They really, really care about people.
That's amazing. I feel like I was tearing up listening to that story. It's
getting a little teary
so
here.
Touching. Yeah. And I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you. It was so sudden. Tough. And the teachers could sense that it was something a little overwhelming. And my counselor said, we've got you. We've got your back. Don't worry about anything. But then that care package that showed up spoke volumes.
That's amazing. So cool. I mean, I've only been in the staff position here in career services for a year and a half now, but I feel that community as well. And so just hearing this story, I mean, it's amazing. The other parts of your story that I'm also hearing are these amazing skills that you're kind of taking with you along the way. And so I'm hearing this networking. I'm hearing you're coming in with all of this great experience and your time management and stress management and out of all of these things that are going on in your life. And so I guess thinking about those pieces and this amazing story that you've told here, what do you think are some of those other soft skills or human skills that you've taken out of your program and your experience at SNHU and have translated really well to the position that you're in now in the workforce, or I guess professional and personal life?
From having to work full time to pay the tuition, it's still not a free school, you have to pay. I've learned that it is imperative that you organize your time and set a priority, and that no is a sufficient answer. And sometimes we must postpone things. If it means cutting things out of your life temporarily, it's not a permanent cut. It just means right now I must step back from certain activities in order to prioritize certain other activities. And I set a meeting with my pastor, and I said, for the next 3 years, I must step back from certain ministries because I have a priority, and that priority is my education. So you won't see me. It doesn't mean I'm walking away from God. I'm not walking away from my faith, but I must prioritize my education. And it's not, and I had people phone me and say, oh, it's only 2 hours to come sit at church. It may be 2 hours to sit there, but then you got to get up, you got to get dressed, you got to drive the 40 minutes to and from. By the time you've done that, you've cut 4 hours into your day. That's time I need to be studying or doing my homework. So I had to just learn to tell people there are certain activities I must postpone. And my husband didn't like this part, but I had to give up our sitting on the sofa and watching television together. So there are certain things you have to be willing to rearrange in your life. And I said, there's this wonderful new device. It's called recordings. I can record a program. And if I get some time in between the sessions when I'm switching from class to class, I will watch a few things with you then. But for now, I have to be willing to prioritize certain things over other things. It doesn't mean your life's going to change forever. The sky's not going to fall down if certain things don't get done right then and there, but you have to learn to prioritize and put things in what's the bigger priority here. And the things that aren't as important just need to learn to wait. And we have to learn to be patient with things in life, be patient with ourselves. You can't get everything done all the time. And sometimes you have to be willing to just completely let some things go. And the thing I let go, which I was not crushed to let go, was housekeeping. I hired a housekeeper. Best
Good for
decision
you.
Best decision I ever made. She comes in every other week. She does the heavy lifting. I mean, I don't leave the place a disaster, but I didn't have time to worry about vacuuming and dusting. I just needed some help doing that stuff because my priority was staying on top of the schoolwork. So by reorganizing what's important and moving the priority stuff to the top of the list, the stuff that's just not important gets dropped completely, like vacuuming, and the stuff in the middle just gets kind of sorted to what's the bigger priority. A little of that gets done. What's not the bigger priority, that stuff gets put in kind of an orderly list. Then we just check it off as I can get it done. And that's kind of carried through all the way through finishing SNHU to coming to work in my dream field. I wanted to become an archaeologist since I was a little girl. So to finally get to do it, it's been heaven. How many people get up every morning happy to go to work? I've never once complained about coming into the office. I choose to come in at 5:30 in the morning. I'm actually excited to come here every morning and get to do what I love every single day. And I come here every morning thinking, what's my priority? And I prioritize my day just like I did when I was in college. I use the same principles of how to organize such a busy and chaotic day. So once you get those foundations set and how you function, they never leave you.
Dana, that was a masterclass in time management. Thank you so much.
It really
Seriously,
was.
this is one of those, and we have a lot of students like you who have so many other responsibilities in their life. And time management seems to be one of those crucial skills in order to juggle all balls that we have in our hands. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing that because I believe it can appeal to so many students, no matter at what stage of their learning journey or professional journey they are.
Well, you're very welcome. But in my defense, I have no children. How those people do it, they're like the master class of masterclass. So more power to the students who go back to school who have children.
Very
Yes,
true.
that's very, very true too. Yeah.
So, Dana, I know you mentioned how these time management skills specifically have carried over into your not only your collegiate life, but your professional life as well. And you mentioned the field of archaeology, which I think is so cool. And a lot of our learners do too. Can you just talk about your position a little bit and how you got there and anything else you think would be amazing to share with our listeners?
Sure. Before I say anything, I just want to say to anyone listening, if you have a dream, let no one ever take that dream from you. I don't care if it takes you 30 years to realize the dream. It's your dream and it's your right to someday realize your dream. It took me freaking forever. But I would not allow anyone to steal that dream. So when I was a little girl growing up in the San Francisco Bay Area, I went to a place called the Rosicrucian Egyptian Museum. And you could not convince me that I was not in a real Egyptian tomb. But
That's so
life,
cool.
yeah, life happens though. You grow up and you toe the line, you just get a job. So I ended up spending 30 plus years marketing civil infrastructure design services. Phenomenal money, phenomenal stress, phenomenal headaches. But it afforded me things I probably wouldn't have ever afforded had I been an archaeologist all those years. But in my heart, I still wanted to be an archaeologist. And, as you get older and you realize that mortality is staring you in the mirror every time you look. And I thought, I'm not getting any younger. And the stress of marketing services was starting to wear on me. And I distinctly recall being in my car heading to my high paying job, and I swerved to avoid being hit by a car. And then seconds later I went, stupid girl, you should have let yourself be hit by a car so you don't have to go to work. And I thought, if I am willing to be hit by a car and be put in the hospital rather than go to work, then I need to be doing something different. So that's when I went online looking for what kind of degree can I get to become an archaeologist and what kind of degrees are required in the state in which I live to best work as one. And I found that most employers prefer you to have a degree in anthropology. So that's when I started looking for a degree in anthropology, and I started looking for the best universities for it and which courses would be best. And I found that a degree at SNHU in anthropology would require me to also study a lot in archaeology. So I would have a good foundation in archaeology while getting a degree in anthropology. But I've also been concerned about what's happening with the state of our planet. So I chose to get a degree in anthropology with a concentration in environmental sustainability. I said, if we don't treat this planet better, we're not going to have a planet to treat better. We're going to wreck it. And I felt like I had stumbled upon some magic formula for how to make my life better. And I completed my course of study in November of 2018 and was also facing a cancer scare at the time. And I wanted to treat myself to a trip to Greece. And I literally got the all clear sign like 3 days before I got on that plane to Athens, Greece. So I went with a very clear heart that I was going to be okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It was kind of scary, but whenever they call you and say, not only is your breast exam strange, we've booked you another exam. And I went in a matter of like 4 days, I had a battery of exams done all in days and just waited, crossing my fingers. And I actually didn't attend the graduation ceremony, though. This was fortuitous. I walked across the stage on May 11th of 2019, my 54th birthday.
Oh,
I know.
that's
It was
so
like,
sweet.
Oh, incredible. Then they yelled out summa cum laude on top of that. So it was
Yes.
wonderful.
Of course they did.
And then I came back to California, and I didn't have an archaeology position, but I knew one, I could feel it in my bones. One was coming. So I was already working with the California Department of Transportation, waiting for an opening in archaeology. And I knew, I'm like, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. And within weeks, they had a position open, and I slid right on in and I got it. But I had my eye set on not just an archaeology position, but a Native American coordinator position, which at Caltrans, which is what our shortcut name is. You can only get a Native American coordinator position if you're an archaeologist. And lo and behold, many, many months later, I am asked to assume the position of Broadband North Region Native Coordinator position. It's a new position. They've never had a Broadband North Region coordinator before. So now I am coordinating all of the tribal monitoring for the broadband construction activities, any ground disturbing activities for all of Caltrans North Region, which is regions 1, 2, and 3. It's pretty much everything from mid-California up to the Oregon border. And it has been a phenomenal growth experience that has called on every one of my organizational skills. I work with the 3 district Native American coordinators, but at a different level because I'm coordinating with all of them, and that's 22 counties in all of Northern California. And I work with all of the federally and non-federally recognized tribes. And it's been a wonderfully eye-opening, continually expanding my horizons and growth opportunities for me. But it's something I feel I've been preparing for since my very first class at SNHU. And it has required not just organizational skills, communication beyond belief. And those two combined have probably been the biggest things that have been challenged, but have caused me to be able to sort of get it done. There's no real way to measure it because it's not been done before, but I love it. I enjoy doing it. And I really like that I'm working with and helping the tribes ensure that we are not adversely impacting their cultural resources, as we are also giving them access to high-speed internet connectivity that they so deserve. Everyone deserves that.
You mentioned, actually, this is a very interesting point. This is like cultural awareness, right? Knowing where is that boundary between helping and still respecting people's cultural autonomy. So as one thing, and I know our anthropology courses have culture, some of the courses at least study culture intensively. You also mentioned organizational skills. You mentioned archaeological knowledge. If we want to sum up, if we want to look at what you're doing now and what you were studying, or like your experience in program at SNHU, how would you connect them? What was the most useful, or how, when you look back, if you were a student today, what you have done differently, or would you have done anything differently to prepare yourself for a position today?
Looking back, I would say that the way the courses are outlined at SNHU was probably perfect, because the broad arena of courses for anthropology is what prepared me for archaeology, because anthropology is the study of humanity. And I remember my very first course was world religions. You kind of need a broad background to be able to deal with a very diverse group of people. But then as you start, it's like a funnel. You start at the top, it's large, and you study everything, and then you kind of whittle your way down toward more precise courses. So by the time I started studying more precise things about Native American cultures, then you start getting into things like different religious and cultural beliefs of Native American populations. And one of the courses I had required me to do an exhibit. I did a virtual museum. And being that I knew I wasn't planning to leave the state of California, I did a museum exhibit about Maidu. And that's a group of people who are very geographically close to where I live. And that taught me so much about what the symbols on their baskets mean. And of course, then you start reading other stuff that you don't have to read. You manage to make time to read stuff you want to read. And being immersed in that opens your eyes to what things mean to people. And then it translates from one tribe to another. And it just teaches you an overall respect for the beliefs of different people. And once if you respect one group of people, it teaches you how to respect another group. And with what I do now, perfect example, we just finished celebrating Thanksgiving here in the United States. Well, when I deal with my tribal partners, I was very conscious not to say to them at the end of conversations, well, have a happy Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving to them doesn't hold the same cultural significance as it does if I were saying happy Thanksgiving to some of my Caucasian counterparts, because the meaning of Thanksgiving is not the same for my Native American counterparts. It has a whole different cultural significance. And I said to someone that I work very closely with, he is such a great guy. I am so very much enjoying working with him. And he is with the Coyote Valley Band of Pomo. And I'm going to spend time with him in person next week. I'm very excited to do that. And he and I were talking about that. And I said, I won't say that to you because it's not the same. It would be like you saying to me, a Black woman, well, happy 4th of July. 4th of July does not hold the same cultural significance for my people because we were not freed on the 4th of July. Yes, the United States broke away from England, but that didn't free me. That didn't free my people. So wishing me a happy 4th of July. Yes, the United States was free, but Black people weren't free. So, and he said, thank you for recognizing that. So just learning some basics at SNHU, even today, the broad scale of education has translated into some very useful things that I practice probably every day. There's something I learned there that I use every single day. And I appreciate that I learn broad spectrum knowledge and then some very specifics, like, even though I hated it, statistical knowledge that I had to learn to use, and things like research techniques and methodologies, because you have to take those kinds of things. But I find that they were coming in very handy. At the time, I'm thinking, oh, they're just trying to torture me. They just want to see me pull what little bit of hair I have left out of my head. But it turns out they really were for my own good after all.
No, thank you so much for sharing. And I was thinking as you were talking about it, that is probably a skill also that could be useful for everybody, and not only people who want to work in this area or this discipline. And that speaks to the applicability of anthropology to so many other disciplines. Just in terms like interacting with people who are different from us culturally and understanding the assumptions behind those interactions. So thank you for sharing that. And we are getting closer to the end of this podcast. And last question will be very general. If you could give one advice to our future graduates, the people who are still studying at SNHU but very soon will be graduating, what would be your advice?
Though I did say before, never let anyone try and take your dream away from you. When I go out to speak to students, because I realize that I am in a field that's very underrepresented by people who look like me. So I'm always going out to students who look like me to try and win them over. I always tell them, never let anyone clip your wings. So I would say that to adults too. Don't let the fact that you are mature, don't let that be the guiding principle for why you can't do something. Yes, you can. We may have to do things differently because of our age, because of our different physical abilities, because there's no such thing as a disability. We just have different abilities. We can do things. We just have to do them differently based on our physical makeup. But don't ever let anything stop you. There is a way to get something done, and places like SNHU offer you that. If you can't get in your car and drive somewhere, you can sit at your house, at your computer, and actually get a quality education that will so greatly benefit you. My father used to say, my late father used to say, even if you only get your degree in basket weaving, get it. And now I know what he meant, because once I had that under my belt, I literally felt unstoppable. Then I went from that to archaeology field school, where everyone in there was half my age. But once I accomplished field school, staying out in 115 degrees in dirt, and it was like the hottest I'd ever been in my whole life. I kept thinking literally my blood was going to just boil. But having done that and gotten through it, then I thought, there's nothing on this planet I cannot conquer. Then I decide now, okay, I've done the impossible twice. So now I'm in graduate school. So I am soon to turn 60, and I'm in graduate school and tickled about it. So it gives you a foundation that lets you know you can accomplish things, and it gives you an education to back it up. And once you have that, that is something no one can take from you, and no one can deny you things based on a lack of education, because you've got that.
Thank you so much. And as you mentioned, one little victory leading to more victories, one little step at the time, moving forward. Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you. I feel like there are so many people who will be inspired by your story and by your advice and what you shared with us today. So we really appreciate you coming and talking to us. And Brooke, thank you so much too for being with us. I I think, right, from the career perspective, I mean, you will say it better. This gives us so much food for working further with our students.
Oh, yes, I 100% agree. I mean, Dana, I feel like in every example and scenario that you gave, you shared so many relevant skills to our listeners, to our students, and even those that might be in the field right now and listening. So thank you for that. And thank you for sharing just such valuable examples and stories.
Well, thank you both for having me. I just feel that everyone has an inner strength. We just need to know how to tap into it. But once we tap into it, we are indomitable and we are unstoppable.
I feel
That's a
so
great
motivated.
finale. Yes,
Yeah.
that's a perfect finish. Thank you.